Fairly Odd Parents is a franchise that somehow finds a way to still be relevant to this day and age. Over the course of the many years that the show has been on the air, the Fairly Odd Parents had many different versions being broadcast to Nickelodeon. Starring the iconic character Timmy Turner, along with his fairy godparents, Cosmo and Wanda, this particular trio of characters has gone through many reboots during its course on television. Created by the animator Butch Hartman, the show has been on the airwaves since early 2001, and since then, it has been Nickelodeon's second longest running animated show, behind SpongeBob SquarePants. The franchise has received many movies, as well as an abundance of brand new seasons. And while we have seen the Fairly Odd Parents take on the live action format, the new Paramount Plus show, The Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder, takes on a brand new approach with this iconic franchise. And let me tell you, this show is definitely different compared to what we've seen before. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? My name is AnimaTD, better known as Animated, and I want to thank you so much for tuning into this brand new video. So in case you guys have not watched the show, Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder is now officially streaming over on Paramount Plus. And I gotta tell you, I did sit down and give the show a watch despite the past videos of me saying I wasn't gonna watch it. And the question at hand is, do I still hold my opinion to what we've talked about the show in the past? Honestly, yes, but also no. So today we're going to be reviewing the Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder for you guys, and quite honestly, it might shift your opinion of what you thought about the show before. So let's just talk about the main story plot real quick. Picking up years after the original series, the new series follows Timmy Turner's cousin, Vivian Turner, and her new stepbrother, Roy Raskin, as they navigate life in Dimsdale with the help of their fairy godparents, Cosmo and Wanda, who are gifted to them by now older Timmy. Although both Vivian and Roy have not been in the animated series before, this series takes on the same animated style with the real life scenario, such as the movies that they did before for the Fairly Odd Parents. This brand new series takes on the sitcom format, and like other Nickelodeon shows, this is a format that they're very comfortable with. Now, I won't lie, I honestly think that the sitcom format is not as horrible as what people think it is. Like, compared to what we've got with past sitcom shows, like of course we've had shows like Henry Danger, Drake and Josh, iCarly, and so many more. I definitely think that when it comes to sitcoms, the Fairly Odd Parents was definitely going to be getting this treatment at some point. And quite honestly, I definitely like the fact that they have the whole animated in the real life scenario, because it gives me a little bit of Roger Rabbit vibes, so I'm not completely upset about that. The only thing that I might have a little bit of a distaste for is the animation route that they went. In certain frames, the animation looks very choppy, not complete, and just straight up lazy. Like some parts in the real world where Cosmo and Wanda are the main focus of the animation, it doesn't seem all that bad. But compared to the fully animated scenes that we are shown, it seems very lazy as well as choppy and not so complete. Like the very first scene where we see Crocker locked up in Fairy World with Jorgen von Strangle and other characters from the show, it definitely seems like that the animation team wasn't really exactly putting their whole heart into making the certain scene. And yes, even some parts of the whole animation style in the real life world definitely seemed a bit off as well, so I don't exactly know where to say good things about this. Also, the fact that Crocker is locked up in Fairy World, that's like, I guess, kind of kidnapping, I guess? I don't really know what to call it. Also, not to mention about this frame of Crocker, but this is definitely going to give me nightmares for years to come. But the cool thing about Crocker in this show, which I will give to it, is the fact that they had the same guy who voiced Crocker in the actual show play in the show as the live action self. So it was pretty cool that they brought him back, and I really like Crocker, the guy playing him. So I don't know, it's really cool. With the show debuting 13 brand new episodes for this season, it definitely seems like there's a lot to soak in when you watch this show. And a lot of online criticism has done nothing but shame this actual reboot because of the fact that the Fairly Odd Parents has been airing for so long, and it seems that a lot of ideas are just either being recycled or the fact that it just doesn't look good. And compared to the animated series, there was a slew of brand new characters introduced into the franchise, such as Chloe, as well as Timmy Turner's dog, Sparky. Like, I think the one character that they definitely did not need to add to this reboot was the fact that Cosmo had an ex-girlfriend named Brandy Lynn. Like, the fact that she's a minor character for only one episode, and the fact that they added her to the show in the first place, really seems like that they just wanted to add an extra character to stir up the pot a bit. And listen, I'm all for one with adding new characters to the show and giving new characters a new backstory, but this one seemed kind of unnecessary to me. But I could be hating, that just might be me, but I just didn't think that she really deserve to be in the show? I don't really exactly know. Also, not to mention the fact that Vicky is also a teacher in this and she has a major crush on Crocker, which I don't know how that feels to me. Like, I get that they have to go on ahead and reference her as a character in the show, but with her and Crocker and the age gap, oh my god, it's so disgusting. Now, as for the two characters, Vivian and Roy, I definitely think that these two characters are a great addition to the franchise. Like, although some parts may have been a little bit too off for me to watch, I definitely think that for a sitcom format of the Fairly OddParents, these two characters definitely did their jobs well. And to be fair, it's a sitcom show, so honestly, I don't think that this show was meant to be taken in a very serious tone in the first place. Like, it's the Fairly OddParents. When in any time of the Fairly OddParents runtime has the show been serious at all? The jokes are still there, the iconic characters are still there in a way, so really, it's the Fairly OddParents, and I don't necessarily think that this show in general should be taken too seriously. Like, the fact that we also got a lot of the major voice actors to return for this particular show really does make me happy, because I'm a huge voice actor guy. I like the fact that certain people will return to these certain roles to bring on new life to these characters in a different type of tone for a show. So that's at least cool to me. But the big question is whether this show holds up to the Fairly OddParents title and name like it did in the earlier days. And my answer to that is simply this: I don't think that this show was meant for the older fans anyway. Like, if you think about it like this, a lot of the kids these days don't exactly know what the Fairly OddParents is. They have such a wide variety of brand new shows being thrown at them every day that the Fairly OddParents is definitely the least of their priorities. And quite honestly, the fact that the Fairly OddParents is streaming all their seasons over on Paramount Plus right now doesn't exactly help, considering the fact that kids nowadays will either be watching cable on Nickelodeon or will be seeing stuff on other streaming platforms such as Disney Plus, Hulu, and so on. So the odds of these kids even seeing a hint of Fairly OddParents now is most likely a, let's say, 50-50 chance. But to those kids who happen to have Paramount Plus to watch the Fairly OddParents for the first time, might actually get a kick at this brand new sitcom media. And to us, a lot of the older generation fans might not exactly like this format, but it definitely holds a little bit of heart and a little bit of love to the original show. And while no news has been said about whether there's going to be a season 2 of the show, I highly doubt that the show might be exactly getting that, considering the fact that a lot of online reviews are actually bombing the show just because of the fact that it's a Fairly OddParents, and the show definitely needs to be at least put to bed, at least. But all in all, the Fairly OddParents Fairly Odder is definitely something that I feel like a lot of younger fans will enjoy more than the older audiences. And while certain characters don't make an exact appearance within this, I definitely say that if anything, this is more of a soft reboot of the particular franchise. And if the show does go on ahead and get a season 2, we'll just have to wait until then. Now, obviously, I have to sit down and actually rate this show because I did watch the entirety of it. And while some parts seemed a bit off for me, I honestly did not exactly hate it because I knew exactly what I was watching when I pressed the play button on Paramount Plus. So if I were to go on ahead and rate this show at least from a scale of 1 to 10, I definitely want to give it, and this is me being very generous, a 6.5 or at least a 6. Now, the reason why I'm giving it such a high score is the fact that I simply loved this show growing up. I remember getting home, sitting down and watching Timmy, Cosmo, and Wanda, as well as the other iconic characters from the show, do some crazy antics, and it was simply a very heartwarming thing to remember from my childhood. And quite honestly, the show itself, while it's supposed to be a soft reboot of the franchise, I definitely know for a fact that some parts might not be pleasing to me. So in all honesty, I definitely think that this is a fair rating. And I don't want to bomb the show too much because a lot of shows like this are not meant for the older generations, as I previously stated. So I definitely think that this show isn't exactly bad. It's just not meant for a lot of people around my age group. And the whole idea of a Fairly OddParents reboot in a live action sitcom format isn't exactly the worst idea that I've heard. The only thing that I wish that they would go ahead and improve later on in the future is with the whole animated scenes, that they do a little bit better with the animation, but I understand why, because it's going to a streaming service and technically not a lot of people are going to pay for top-end animation. But nonetheless, the show does what it needs to in order to be what it is, so I'm not exactly hating on it as a whole, but definitely there needs to be some improvement along the way if there is a season 2. But all in all, I gotta say, The Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder is definitely something you have to watch to form your own opinion later on. And that's my review. Now guys, I want to know your thoughts. If you happen to already watch the brand new Paramount Plus series, The Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder, what are your thoughts about it? Do you think that the show was done well, or do you think the show just simply wasn't needed at all? Out of this particular reboot, who was your brand new favorite character from this iconic series? And do you think that the show's going to be getting a season 2 along the way, or do you think that the show's just going to be a one season thing? Either way, I would love to know your thoughts. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up this video for today. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. And by all means guys, do not forget to turn on notifications for more cartoon news and reviews coming to you real soon. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up this video. My name is AnimaTD, better known as Animated, and I hope that you go on ahead and tune in next time.